Welcome back to HPL. We're at the PvP Live studios here in Frisco, Texas. I'm your host, Nathan. That's Admiral Zamora with the Tan and Grace. We just saw Era pick up another win for himself here in HPL. So if we take a look at the standings, we can see exactly where both these players sit now. Super JJ, he's got his second loss of HPL now as well, and we're going to be kind of taking a look at these next two players and seeing where they sit in the standings. You can see it right there for yourself. Era really needed that win to start putting himself back to a winning record.
Yeah, and Super JJ actually falls to, I think, 3-2 after this match as well. And you can see our next two players going to be Ostkaka and Kranich. Both of them a little, Kranich at 2-2. He's right there at the 500 mark. One win puts him into the winner's side. Ostkaka, we haven't seen a whole lot from him here in HPL so far. Only 2 matches, and they haven't really gone very well.
Yeah, he's going to start having himself a little bit more of a busy schedule, and that's going to start here for it right here tonight as we start setting up this match.
Yeah, and if we go into the second match, we got Ostkaka versus Kranich. Now, what I want to talk about first, I'm going to talk about Ostkaka. We haven't seen really a whole lot of him yet here in HPL. He's coming in at 0-2, but what I really want to talk about is his blowback score. He's got a 7.3 blowback score here in HPL. Now, this is mostly from falling behind. He hasn't really been actually leveraging his life total. He's been having to use it to stay in the game. He's 0-3 with Warrior here in HPL, so he's been always having to attack minions with his weapons. That's led to some huge blowback scores, but not wins in these cases. Usually when you get these scores with those guys, you get wins, but he's been so far behind, he hasn't really been able to cash them in. Now, all 5 of the games that he's had in which he's had a blowback score above 0, he hasn't been able to win yet, and he hasn't had a game go past turn 8. This really suggests that he's had some poor draws and some rough matchups here so far in HPL.
Yeah, not really anything going for him so far. And but kind of talking about Ostkaka, the man behind the mask on this one, his very thought out plays, really calculated in the way that he plays. And you can see that a lot in the kind of the way that he plays mage. Honestly, plays a lot of freeze mage, very well respected, kind of in the professional circles of all his peers and things like that. He had a lot of big expectations coming into HPL too. It was a really big talking point for him because this was another professional event that he was going to be entering in. But off to a rocky start here. I actually spoke to Ostkaka earlier this week about his performance so far in HPL. He's not one bit worried about it, honestly. He stayed so calm about it, and that's the way he's going to play all of his games. He's just going to do what he believes is best. Emotions, frankly, are not really that big of a factor for Ostkaka, if they're one at all.
Yeah, I don't think emotions are going to be a factor for his opponent either. He's going to be playing against Kranich, who's coming in at 2-2. Now, we talked about Ostkaka being in the top 5 in blowback. Kranich is in the bottom 5 of blowback. He's currently averaging 4.1 here in HPL. He has not been using his health that often to garner any advantages here in these games. Now, he's registering a blowback score in less than half of the games that he's played, meaning he's not doing it too often. So the games that he's doing it, he's getting a little bit, but not that often. Now, of the games where he's using his life total, he stands at 2-5. So in those 2 games that he won, he did it when he was playing with Warlock. It's really integral that the Warlock damages itself to get ahead in the game. One of those was against Dog, where he life tapped 6 times, got 6 extra cards, and got a win. And the other one was where he was being very aggressive. He cast a lot of Flame Imps and stuff like that, and took a lot of damage to himself and won there. The fact that he has lost all other 5 games in which he has scored blowback leads me to believe that maybe Kranich isn't really picking the right spots or putting himself in the right spots to really leverage his life total into wins.
Yeah, I think a lot of that kind of coming into it too is that the fact that people have played so much targeting things like Warrior very early on and have since kind of moved away from it. But kind of talking about Kranich more specifically, the way that he plays, much more experimental, I would say, than most of the other players. We just saw Era play, and he's also kind of falling in those lines. But Kranich is kind of like a wild card in this nature. We've seen him play Nat Pagel. He's claimed it's been in multiple of his strategies lately, and sort of lately though, his last match, we've seen him play more conventional strategies. Once again, with his own flair though. But something that's been happening is he's been very unpredictable in every single one of his matches. He even said in his interview he would prepare 6 strategies and then randomly choose one so that way he couldn't get targeted in those matches. And frankly, I don't think that's the best way to go about it. I think I'd like to see him buckle down and play a little bit more reliably. This is a big match for him. And frankly, a lot of players, moving into this 1/3 of the way through the season spot, it's kind of like a little bit of an inflection point. Yesterday, we had multiple players at the 2-2 spot, and they were going to be moving into either a winning or a losing record. Kranich is in that exact same spot that he is right now. I don't think that he can afford to continue using wild strategies if he's going to get this job done. This match in particular, again, such a big one for him because he's going to have a winning or a losing record a third of the way through the season. How does he handle that kind of pressure coming into this match? Is he going to continue to play these crazy strategies, or is he going to kind of go with a more conventional style to get things done?
Yeah, those are all really great points. Now, when you look at both of them going into this match, you start to compare them. Both players have struggled here so far in HPL using their life totals as a resource. They haven't been able to take their life total and use it the way they want to get advantages on the board. They've been falling behind or haven't been getting the right spot. So look for one of them to try and turn that around here in this match. Ostkaka, he's known for freeze mage, not something you're gonna get a lot of blowback with, but this might not be the best match to try and do that. Kranich has been showing a lot of flair here in his card choices, having Nat Pagel on almost all of his decks. That is not the kind of card Ostkaka wants to try to have to deal with when he's playing something like Freeze Mage.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that too. Kranich also going to be the one, I think, to play wild strategies, maybe even adding a copy of Flare in a Hunter deck or playing something like Keys and Mystic. But kind of similar to our first match, this one is a lot about how Ostkaka and Kranich take into account each other in this matchup. Ostkaka is much more, I would say, on the control side of things, where Kranich is more about innovation. Ostkaka is going to try to do something different in this match, given the fact that he's had this 0-2 start, or is he going to is the unpredictability of Kranich going to continue to really show us different strategies and different ways to kind of tackle these matches? Someone's going to have to adopt some more conventional builds in this one, and frankly, I would think if there's a player that's more willing to do that, it's probably Ostkaka.
Yeah, you got to believe that Ostkaka is going to change some things up. Maybe Kranich is going to go back to like some conventional builds. You're going to see which one of them, really tries to do that to see if they get the win. Now, what's really important for them to get these wins?
Yeah, I want to talk about that here for a second too. The keys to success for Ostkaka. I think the first thing he actually needs to do in this match is be the aggressor. Kranich has been queuing up wild strategies. A lot of times these strategies are not quite as refined. You can punish that with early aggression, get some threats on the board, and force him to deal with them. If he can't do that, you're likely to snowball the game out of control. And my second point for Ostkaka is if he's going to play control, don't try to pinpoint Kranich. Once again, he's been playing wild strategies, and you have no idea exactly the kind of range of cards he's going to have in his deck. Something like Harrison Jones, I think, can be kind of effective, but stuff like Keys and Mystic, I would say, I would want to stray away from cards like that. Avoid the big swingy cards and just focus on efficiency.
Yeah, those are great points. Now, for Kranich to win this match, what I think he's going to have to do, number one, don't be afraid of being targeted. Play some more proven decks. You have shown off your style here a lot in HPL. If you're worried that playing decks that are proven will result in you being targeted, just forget about it. Just forget that. Play something proven, play something strong, get a win that way. Number two, I think he needs to use combo strategies. Keeping up with that proven and strong strategies theme, bring in some decks with some combo finishes to play against Ostkaka. They have proven they work here in HPL, and they should be a good way to battle against decks like Freeze Mage that you might see out of Ostkaka.
Yeah, something like Druid, I think, could match up very well versus what Ostkaka's done, but always a possibility that he can change up his game plan. If he's on the more aggressive side of things, Druid won't look so good. But who do I think's got the edge in this matchup, and who do I actually think is going to win? I have to go with Ostkaka in this one. Once again, the player that I think is going to be better adapting in this scenario is a player just like him. I think Kranich is going to continue to innovate a little bit too much, and against professional players, that's not always the kind of person that you want to be testing strategies against. You need to bring something to the table that's very prepared, and I think Ostkaka is more likely to do that.
Yeah, I got to agree with you in this match. I think Ostkaka is going to win as well. Every time I watch him play, I'm super impressed. Not only is he a thoughtful and great player, but he's so stoic. He's got a great poker face, just so calm, so collected. He will never be thrown off in any way with anything that Kranich does. He's going to be ready for him here in this match.
So which one of these players do you think that you play more like? Do you play more like the innovative side like Kranich, or do you like to be collective and kind of control the games more like Ostkaka does? You can get out there on Twitter and use that hashtag HPL and let us know exactly what that playstyle is. You can also head over to Facebook, PvP Live Facebook page, like and comment on there, share with us your thoughts. We'll be checking them out after the show and seeing exactly what you guys' opinions are on how these matches are going to pan out. But game one, it's getting pretty close to getting ready, and I cannot wait to see what's coming to the table because Kranich always got to bring something crazy.
You know what? I've always got to take a big collective breath before the Kranich matches because he could bring anything. He could show up with anything. We've seen Nat Pagel on almost every deck. He even said it's one of his favorite cards, that he's going to play it a lot. So everything is on the books here. He literally can play any card in any class. Ostkaka, I expect to see some Freeze Mage in this match. Get back to your roots.
We could see that too. I mean, we've already also seen a Raging Worgen combo deck work here tonight. Maybe that's something that Kranich wants to pull out. Use it at Worlds. Yeah. You got to the top 4 spot, but we're going to find out exactly what these guys are using. Don't go anywhere because right now, game one with Kranich and Ostkaka is about to get underway.
Again, collective collecting of breath here. I want to see what Kranich is bringing. Look, it looks like he's going to listen to what you and I were talking about a little bit here. Playing something like Druid, a little combo-oriented, can maybe really punish Ostkaka, but we're already seeing something, that we haven't seen in a while in Druid with a Spectral Knight.
I don't think I've seen Spectral Knight in a Druid deck since the World Championships, and that was prior to Undertaker getting changed. Undertaker was still +1/+1 for every Death Rattle minion that got played, and it was such an integral part of strategies because Miracle Rogue was a very powerful deck at the time, and in that single deck, the last thing you wanted to happen was your 5-drop gets sapped or backstabbed and eviscerated behind a Gadget Xana Auctioneer. And so the Spectral Knight shut off those possibilities, but what exactly are you playing it for now?
Exactly. Now, we're seeing a pretty good draw here from Kranich. He could have had a turn 2 Pilot Destroyer if he wanted, but he's going to just Wild Growth and Pilot Destroyer next turn, hold on to this Innervate, try to have some big turns down the line. If you top deck something like Dr. Boom or Emperor Thorson, he could have some gigantic turns.
Yeah, meanwhile, Ostkaka going to just take this very slow. He's got Mountain Giant and he's got Twilight Drake in his hand, so we'll see exactly how he wants to, divide up this pressure moving forward. I mean, there's a possibility we see a turn 3 Twilight Drake here. Man,
these Druid decks have looked so good in HPL. They just seem to have Innervate, Wild Growth, and or in almost every opening hand here.
Well, that's one of the keys to being a good Druid player, is drawing really well.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you always have Wild Growth, it's got to be an easy game, right?
And you do have 4 copies of the cards to draw, and you can't mulligan everything for it, though, too, so you will see it a pretty large percentage of the time. Ostkaka really got some interesting decisions in front of him. If he chooses to coin this Twilight Drake, it means Mountain Giant can't come down next turn, but if he commits over to this Mountain Giant, he's going to be taking a lot of damage in the process.
Yeah, it looks like he is actually going to commit over to this, not even life tap here. He doesn't want to, burn any cards, get through too many, and take too much damage here. But, we talked about this Emperor Thorson off the top. If Kranich wants, he can push for 4 damage here and Innervate out this Emperor Thorson.
Yeah, I think Intercoin is exactly what this card's going to be this turn. Emperor Thorson going to refund the mana that you invested into this Innervate, and this is a lot of pressure that's building for Ostkaka now.
He just likes a really good deal,
Source of Nature Savage now available on turn 7 with a 3-mana swipe, and Ostkaka's hand continues to get very heavy. I mean, the fact that now he's committed to this Mountain Giant instead of this Twilight Drake, is he regretting this decision a little bit?
It's very, very possible. Now, he's got a great hand going forward. The problem is Kranich going to give him a ton of time here? He already has Force of Nature, Savage Roar, and a swipe. They're all at a little below retail price here. This Emperor Thorson has made them a lot cheaper. Ostkaka, you've got to have this in your mind that, things are going to start getting accelerated quite a bit this game, and they have been since turn 2.
Not only that, but he doesn't actually have a way to deal with Emperor Thorson, so that's going to continue to activate over and over again. I mean, what's the best line to play when you're facing down something like that? I have to believe it's going to be Mountain Giant, hope your opponent doesn't have a big Game Hunter, and then look for a big Shadow Flame turn afterwards.
Yeah, I think he's weighing his options about if Kranich does have big Game Hunter here, can I win from that point? And the answer is probably no. But if I don't get this Mountain Giant in play, can I win anyway? Can I afford a player on this card? And we've seen Ostkaka, take his time on his turns a lot. Very methodical player, really takes his time to weigh all of his options.
Yeah, Kranich, you can see him laughing a little bit about the plays. I mean, he's got to feel comfortable with his board position. And now with the Wrath and Swipe in his hand, I mean, he can almost just take out the Mountain Giant straight away. I have to believe he's going to do something to take out this Mountain Giant. It looks to me like it's going to start with Pilot Destroyer and Swipe. Oh, it's going to start with a card draw, actually.
Yeah, just cycle his card here, see what he gets. If he gets another threat, I was going to say, if he picks up another threat, I think he's just going to push for damage here. But yeah, you may see him do something like Swipe and Pilot Destroyer here to take care of this Mountain Giant, still push in 5 damage to Ostkaka here. Not letting these Molten Giants into play too soon and for too cheap. Oh, what a miss off this Pilot Shredder.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't think Kranich is too concerned with it. Emperor Thorson is now triggered twice in a row. He's got access to Force Nature Savage Roar next turn, and Ostkaka has to do something to shut these plays off. I mean, to me, it looks from Ostkaka's hand, he's got to play the Emperor Thorson and just hope that this mana ramp can be enough to get the job done. And if he does that, he's just dead.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to actually see something like Emperor Thorson from him here. He could play something like Lotheb, though, just as, it's going to be able to check the Emperor Thorson the next turn. And if Kranich does have something like Force of Nature, Savage Roar, then, hold it back for a turn. But then how do you win from there?
Yeah, I mean, no taunts in his hand, no way to heal at this point. His hand has been so heavy. Honestly,
his hand just hasn't been very good in this game at all.
It looks pretty good, but I mean, this is the power of ramping up your mana as wildly as Kranich has. Ostkaka he's not gonna die to Force Nature Savage Roar this turn, but he's gonna take 5 more points of damage in the process, and he's gonna be facing down 2 more threats afterwards. How does he recover this game position?
It's going to be really, really hard. It matters, Kranich is going to push in probably 6 damage this turn and have a Spectral Knight. It just matters how he wants to start playing around these Molten Giants. And, if he wants to push in the full 6, maybe 5 here, he's going to do a little bit of math. And he's going to actually trade off here to keep the life total, in a manageable position from Ostkaka here. I'm a little surprised by that play, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm a little bit interested by that too, and I think a lot of it has to do with a nod to the fact that he feels like he's got control over this board position. He's got a second Force Nature in his hand, which he can just use for damage to keep clearing out minions. And the second thing he doesn't want to do is put Ostkaka in a range where something like Molten Giant can be a major factor of this game. Like what did say he pushed for damage there? Ostkaka's got 2 Molten Giants and a Sun Fury Protector. That's
yeah, he actually did top deck the turn. It was a good card.
He top decked the Sun Fury Protector. He's only got 1 Molten Giant, of course, but that would have been a potential recovery position for him. So Kranich taking the safe route in this one and hoping that the pressure he has right now is enough to get it done. I mean, is Ostkaka fearing something like Force Nature Savage Roar right now?
You've got to have it in the back of your mind always when you're playing against a Druid, especially going into these later turns. Even if like something like Emperor Thaurissan wasn't going on, you've always got to be wary of this combo. When you're around 14 life, the chance of you being dead is very, very high at all these times. So you're probably going to see him do something like taunt up a Twilight Drake or something this turn, because I don't know if he can afford to take damage. And
well, that's going to do it. Emperor Thaurissan. I mean, he has to take a risk at some point.
He has to take a risk at some point. Yeah, he has to try to move.
He has to be able to ramp back into this game because Kranich has gotten so much extra mana, and that Emperor Thaurissan is going to seal the deal. That was not the turn to take a risk, and that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Force Nature Savage Roar, always a major amount of burst damage that is always threatening from Druid.
I feel like in a lot of the games lately, we've seen this and Giant Grim Patron combos quite a bit in all of the games.
Yeah, and Kranich really, loving the fact that he's kind of going with more conventional strategies, but once again continues to add his own flair to it. Spectral Knight is a card that I have not seen in Druid in a very long time, and I'm curious the exact reason why that card's in his deck.
I gotta believe it's because he's playing against Ostkaka. He's usually playing something like Control Decks, Freeze Mage. He wants a minion that he can get in play and can't be targeted by what Ostkaka is trying to do, and just guaranteed to get through a couple points of damage there. And a nice repetitive source of damage for your Druid deck. That way you can finish him off with some kind of combo late in the game.
Yeah, Ostkaka always loves to play Rogue as well.
It's just great against both
the strategies that have these big combo turns. So love the fact that he's playing Druid to try to punish some of those strategies. And I think Spectral Knight is a good choice versus a player specifically like him. If you guys want to check out the recap for this game, you can head over to pvplive.net and see for yourself all the strategies they've chosen to play so far in their competitive careers, and more importantly, how they have played them. These guys are making some changes to their decks, but when we come back, Game 2 is going to be getting underway. Kranich is out to a 1-0 lead, and Ostkaka is looking to tie this series up. Don't go anywhere, guys. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.